Good morning, students. Today's class we are going to see about or learn about the DC motor. In the previous lectures, we have learnt about the DC generator. Now we are going to learn about DC motor. Under DC machine, an electrical machine deals with the energy transfer either from the mechanical to electrical form or the electrical to mechanical form. From the mechanical to electrical form, when it is transferred, it is called as a generator, or when it is converted from the electrical into mechanical form, it is called as a motor. So, here we are going to learn about the DC motors. This process is called as electromechanical energy conversion. An electrical machine which converts mechanical energy into electrical energy is called as an electrical generator. An electrical machine which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy is electrical motor. That's what we are going to see. In a DC machine can be um, classified as a DC generator and a DC motor based on which energy to which energy it is getting converted. So the construction wise, when you look at the machine construction wise, whether it is a generator or whether it is a motor, the construction is same. The working principle, the input for the DC generator, it is the mechanical energy. The input for the DC motor, it is the electrical energy. So consider a coil rotating in a magnetic field. When the coil is rotated, the input is nothing but the mechanical energy. So EMF will be induced in the coil. The output will be the EMF or electrical energy, that is nothing but the generator. But in opposite to that, when a coil is placed inside a magnetic field, when electrical input is given, when the power is applied to the coil, when the voltage is applied to the coil, the input is electrical. It exerts or it feels or experience some force or some twisting force that makes the coil to rotate. So the input is electrical energy, the output is the rotation of the armature. So here this kind of working principle or this kind of mechanism, we are calling it as a motor. So working principle of a DC machine, its operation is based on the principle that whenever a current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, previously for the DC generator, whenever a conductor is rotated inside a magnetic field, but here the current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, the conductor experiences mechanical force called as a torque. The direction of this force is given by the Fleming's left hand rule, which is given as here. Hold a thumb first finger and a second finger of the left hand in such a way that they are at right angle to each other. If the forefinger represents the direction of the field and the second finger represents the direction of the current, then the direction of the force is indicated by the thumb. The magnitude of this force is given by BIL newtons. So B is the field strength in Tesla, the I is the current flowing through the conductor, L is the length of the conductor. In a practical DC motor, the field winding produces the required magnetic field. The current carrying armature conductors are placed inside the magnetic field and so experiences a force. As the conductors are placed in slots which are on the periphery, the individual force experienced by the conductor acts like a twisting or the turning force on the armature, which is called a torque. The torque is a product of the force and the radius at which this force acts. We shall now consider the motoring action in some detail. Here you can see the Fleming's left hand rule is applied here. The thumb showing the direction of the motion, or the forefinger, it shows the lines of flux, and the second finger, middle finger, shows the direction of the current. Consider a DC motor having a north and south poles represented as N and S as shown. Here the conductors are placed uniformly in the slots of the armature. For the purpose of explaining the principle of working of a DC motor, only two conductors A and B, which comes under the influence of N and S pole respectively, means a single coil is considered. Instead of considering entire armature having many windings, many coils, or many turns, here, for the sake of simplicity of understanding the motoring action, the motoring mechanism, a single coil is considered with a north and south pole. These two conductors are joined together by an end connection at the rear end of the armature and to the commutator segments at the front end of the armature. And a DC supply is made available at the motor terminals. Current passes through the conductors A and B via the commutator. The positive sign marked on the conductor shows that the current is flowing inwards. Negative sign marked is current is flowing outwards. Horizontal dotted lines indicate the lines of magnetic force which originate from the north pole to the south pole. So whenever a current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, the conductor experiences a force. So that is the twisting force. So the what is that, armature or the coil starts rotating. So when it rotates, there is also a generating action. Means the coil is rotated and it is placed inside a magnetic field. So as per the Fleming's, the Faraday's, not Fleming's, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, when coil is rotated inside a magnetic field, EMF will be induced in the coil. So by giving the electrical energy, the coil is made to rotate it here, but because of that, this rotating coil inside the field, the generating action will happen. So because of that, EMF is also induced. This is called the back EMF. So whenever we'll talk about the motor, we will not forget the to talk about to realize the back EMF in a DC motor. As soon as the armature of a DC shunt motor starts rotating, the dynamically induced EMF is produced in the armature conductors. The coil is rotated, the EMF is induced in the rotating coil, so it is called as a dynamically induced EMF. Or if the coil is kept stationary and the magnetic field is getting rotated, then the EMF induced in the coil is called as a statically induced EMF. But here, whatever we have considered here, the coil is rotated. So EMF induced in the coil is called as dynamically induced EMF. The direction of induced EMF as found by the Fleming's right-hand rule is such that it opposes the applied voltage. So due to the generating action, some EMF is induced in the coil, that because of the motor rotation or the coil rotation, the EMF induced that will be against the applying force. Applying force, that is the input is the voltage, applying voltage, it is against the applying voltage. The induced EMF is known as back EMF. It is represented as EB. It has the same value as that of the notationally induced EMF in the generator. Means that EMF equation, that is a back EMF induced is nothing but phi Zn by 60 into P by A volts. The applied voltage V has to force current through the armature against the back EMF. The electrical work performed in overcoming this opposition is converted into mechanical energy. So electrical work, whatever you are applying input as the electrical one, electrical energy, that is performed in overcoming this opposition, that is back EMF, is converted into mechanical energy and developed in the armature. The significance of the back EMF. The value of the back EMF, the back EMF is always less than the applied voltage, although the difference is small when the motor is running under the normal conditions. The net voltage across the armature is equal to V minus EB. If the armature resistance is RA, the armature current IA, then IA is equal to V minus EB by RA. Since V and RA are usually fixed, the value of EB will determine the armature current drawn by the motor if the speed of the motor is high. So you just consider a case where the more load is applied. When the load is more, the speed will be reduced. When the speed is reduced, accordingly the EMF will be reduced. So during that time, you need more current for the armature to rotate. So due to the presence of the back EMF, the DC motor becomes a self-regulating machine. We'll see how it is a self-regulating. The motor is made to draw as much armature current as it is just sufficient to develop the torque required by the load. When the motor runs on no load, a small amount of torque is required to overcome the friction and the windage loss. That is, when runs at the no load, a little current is sufficient to make the motor to run. So a small amount of armature current flows and the back EMF is almost equal to the applied voltage. If the load is suddenly brought onto the motor, if the load is increased, the first effect is to slow down the armature. Naturally, when the load is more, the armature tend to slow down. Therefore, the speed at which the armature conductors move through the field is reduced. So there is a fall in the speed. So accordingly, the EMF induced also will be, that is back EMF is also will be less. The decreased EMF allows a larger current to flow through the armature, so that when the load is increased, you need a large current to drive the load. So when the load is increased, the speed is decreased. When the speed is decreased, EMF is reduced, so that it allows the large current to flow through the armature, and a larger current means an increased driving torque. Similarly, thus the driving torque increases as the speed of the motor reduces, and the motor will stop slowing down when the armature current is just sufficient to produce the reduced torque required by the load. Taking the another case, when the load on the motor is decreased, the driving torque is momentarily in the excess of the requirement. When the load is decreased, naturally the armature will tend to, whatever the apply with the applied voltage, the armature tend to, the speed can also be increased, or whatever the torque available, driving torque is available, it is excess of the requirement, so that the armature is accelerated. As the armature speed increases, the back EMF also increases and causes the armature current to decrease. So when there is a reduction in the current that is sufficient to drive the less load, the motor will stop accelerating when the armature current is just sufficient to produce the reduced torque required by the load. So we conclude the back EMF and DC motor regulates the flow of armature current. It automatically alters the armature current to meet the load requirement. Based on the load, the corresponding amount of the current, the armature current will flow. That is sufficient to drive the load. So the working principle of a generator, all we have seen in the DC generator, construction of a DC machine. It is, since it is similar to the both generator and a motor, already it is discussed in the generator. So we'll see now the types of motor, the applications of a DC shunt and the series motor. DC motor characteristics and application. DC motor characteristics depict the relationship between the following quantities, that is torque, armature current, and torque versus the current characteristics, and speed and the armature current, speed and the torque. Characteristics of a series motor. In a series wound motor, the field winding is connected in a series with the armature as shown in the diagram. The series field winding consists of a few turns of thick wire having a low resistance. It is apparent that the same current flows through both the field winding and the armature. If the mechanical load on the motor increases, the armature current also increases. Therefore, the flux in the series motor increases with the increase in the armature current and vice versa. Torque versus armature current characteristics. As the torque increases, current is also increased. As the current increases, torque is also increased. At the light loads, IA and hence phi is small, but as IA increases, TA increases as the square of the current is a parabolic manner. Till the point of saturation is reached, after the saturation, practically it is independent of IA, hence torque proportional to IA, so the characteristics becomes the straight line portion between A and B. The shaft torque is less than the armature torque. The speed versus IA. The variation of the back EMF for different load currents is so negligible, and EB may be treated as a constant. If Ia is increased, flex also increases, so the speed is inversely proportional to the armature current as shown in the diagram. When there is a heavy load, Ia is large, but when the load and consequently Ia slumps to a low value, the speed becomes dangerously high. Hence, a series motor should invariably be started with some mechanical load to prevent excessive speed and damage due to the heavy centrifugal forces produced. Speed versus torque. The speed versus torque characteristics of a series motor is shown figure. From the curve, it is apparent that the series motor develops a high torque at low speed and vice versa. This is because an increasing torque requires an increasing armature current, which is also the field current. The result is that the flux is strengthened and hence the speed drops. Similarly, at low torque and motor speed is high. Characteristics of a shunt motor. If the field winding is connected across the armature, it is called a shunt motor. When it is connected in series, it is called a series motor. For the shunt motor, the torque versus Ia, as we assume that the flux to be practically constant, this implies that the statistics is practically a straight line to the origin. Speed versus Ia. We have seen that n, the speed is proportional to the back EMF by the flux. As phi is assumed to be constant, n is proportional to the back EMF. As back EMF is also practically constant, the speed too practically constant as indicated in the diagram. As the current increases for some time, for the ideal case it is the constant, so it is almost constant. So the speed versus torque, the curve is obtained by plotting the values of N and TA for various armature currents IA. It may be seen that the speed falls somewhat as the load torque increases. Compound motor. Here the winding is placed in series with the armature as well as parallel with the armature also. That is why it is called as a compound motor. Figure shows the torque versus the current for the compound motor for the first one, second one, speed versus current, and this speed versus torque. Torque equation of a DC motor. So before that, we'll see some of the applications of a DC motor. Applications of a series motor: high starting torque, no load condition is dangerous. No load condition is dangerous. So for variable speed, cranes, hoists, elevators, trolleys and conveyors, electrical locomotives, the series motors can be used. Similarly, the shunt motor, the speed is fairly constant and medium starting torque, and blowers and fans, centrifugal and reciprocating pumps, lathe machines, machine tools, milling machines, drilling machine. Applications of a cumulative compound, it is high starting torque and no load condition is allowed. So in rolling machines, punches, shears and heavy planers and elevators it is used. Thank you for watching, guys.